they were just like, oh, we're dumpster diving. And I was like, oh, cool. And then just getting picture after picture of Ethan, like, head first in this dumpster. And I'm like, what is going on? And then 5 or 6 p.m., I just get a picture of Ethan just sitting in a massive pile of shocks. And I was like, oh, man, they were dumpster diving.
Welcome to the Sent and Bent podcast. Today we have a couple of very special guests. We have Derek and Mike from Ruffian Snowbikes. And if you've been paying any attention to our channel for the last few years, you know that I'm completely obsessed with snow bikes. So they came out here to show us their prototype bike and do some testing in the mountains. And they're here in the shop today to do a podcast. So we're going to talk about snow bikes and nothing else. No, just kidding. We'll actually talk about all sorts of things, but we'll start with snow bikes.
See, no one ever wants to talk about snow bikes, so this is great.
Exactly.
I know. We want to talk about snow bikes. Especially, would this be the first production, like, snow bike? Like, you get the bike. It's not a snow bike kit. Is it the first, or is there anyone else?
It's not the first. So there was the Snowhawk. Everyone knows the Snowhawk.
Oh,
back in, like, 2001.
That didn't work, right?
So the guy didn't really know how to ride a snow bike, so he had other people, kind of telling him, like, this is what it needs to be. It was like a skidoo engine, so the whole thing was probably 400, 500 pounds. It's like crazy, like, snow bike. And they had skidoo behind them. They had these great ideas, but the bike sucked.
I've always wanted one. I know they suck, but I still want one.
Yeah, just go buy one.
Yeah.
What happened?
You have such a good collection. You should just.
I do just need one for my snow bike collection.
You should have one.
Yeah.
But what went wrong there? You were just about kind of getting there.
Yeah, primarily with the Snowhawk. It's just the weight was too far forward. The engine, big engine, sitting on top of the ski.
Yeah, it was probably extremely hard to ride, hard to steer, and then also
in certain conditions, as I've been told, I've never been on one, but in certain conditions, they said it rode great, but in other conditions, it was a death machine.
The other thing that I just forgotten about, but just realized now as we're saying it, nobody made a giant ski at that back then. Like, it was just a normal width snowmobile ski. So if you were in deep snow, it would just submarine. Like, I'm sure it would just because, like, even a modern snow bike, which has better weight distribution, if you had a really skinny ski on it and you went downhill, you would just disappear under the snow. So
yeah, there were people that tried to jump them, and that wasn't a good idea.
I'm sure that ended very poorly.
Yeah, like, the idea was there, but it was never perfected. I think they rushed into it. They rushed the production, and they're just like, here it is. Like, not getting input from anyone that actually rode the thing.
Right.
Maybe a few engineers, and engineers don't do a very good job. So,
I think that's the key, because there's some products now, we're not going to name them, but there's some products now that are coming out, and they're not tested.
Right.
They didn't put snow bikers on them.
Yeah.
Or snowmobilers.
Or whatever power sport it is. There's plenty of things like that.
And what we're trying to do is we're trying to do a blend. We want somebody who's a mountain sledder to be able to get on our snow bike and feel as comfortable, almost. And we want to have a snow biker get on our snow bike and feel as comfortable as what they normally ride.
Yeah, basically have that power, at your fingertip. Like, there's so much torque, and just be like, you can just ride anywhere and just go up the chute that a snowmobile could. So that's the goal, is to be, 50% better than a timber sled, but, obviously the price point and, all those, things.
Right. Well, and one of the main differences with yours versus any of the other snow bikes, aside from it being purpose built as a snow bike from the ground up, is that it's CVT drive, so you're not shifting gears. And that's something that a lot of people, like you were saying, coming from snowmobile world, don't want to shift gears. And also, just like, objectively, it's not good for going up big steep hills. If you have to pull the clutch and shift, and you lose momentum, and then you're stuck. So yeah,
that is something, like, it's kind of like a Tesla acceleration that you get from a snowmobile. Like, once you're in it, you constantly feel that force against you. And there is something with, like, snow bikes, when you shift, it's like you get a little pull, lose it, little pull, lose it. So it is really fun to just open it up and feel that constant pull.
Just hold it wide for
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Because you have a 600.
It's a 500. So we started developing a 600, and pretty much all the engine guys were like, no, it's never going to rev past 6,000 RPM, but it'll be torquey. But I'm like, all right, what about a 500? I'm like, okay, that's fine. So you notice, like, all the sleds stop at 850, 450. There's a magic number that can rev basically past 8,000, 9,000. And if you go too big, it won't do it anymore.
And that number is kind of per cylinder. So like yours is a single cylinder. So your max is kind of the 500 cc range, and that's why, like you said,
and that's kind of on the top end. You
right,
almost want to be like 450 is like the perfect number.
Which is why race bikes are all 450s.
Pretty much.
I mean, that's also where the class is limited, but still, like there's
no, it's relevant.
Yeah,
but we had to go a little bigger.
Right, obviously.
And we don't want to like rattle our teeth out of our head because like a single is so angry to begin with. There's not another piston counteracting, you know, the whole like the vibration. So if you went bigger, it's gonna be a mess.
Yeah. Well, and I rode it this weekend, and it was not vibrating at all. I mean, that was like
I worked hard on that.
Yeah.
Like we're not out racing. Like we're just out having fun. So like you don't want to be fatigued and just tired.
Yeah, if your hands go numb from vibrations, it's not gonna.
Yeah, no,
gonna be a good time.
Our counterbalancer works well.
Yeah.
So you take this engine from the ground up, or you start with like a platform and then add to it, or how does that process work? And is it just you guys, or do you have like a field of engineers?
No, it's just me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but you could have engineers and do it in a year. It just takes forever. You can do it by yourself. It just takes a long time. So we've been developing this for 4 years, and it's you're just learning the whole time. Like I don't have any background in engineering, or basically like CAD modeling So I learned everything I've ever learned about the industry in the last 4 or 5 years. Like I learned SolidWorks, which is a CAD program, on YouTube. Just going back and forth. I'm like, oh, how do you do this? Just learning. I always, obviously I came from power sports, so putting them together and getting them running was not a big deal. But engineering them was a whole new thing, and you can only make it as good as you are. So I had to pretty much grow myself to get really good at making this bike. So I couldn't make this bike 4 years ago, like when I first met you guys.
Right.
So, in this 4 years we haven't talked, that's how I learned to make this bike.
Nice.
And then you give me another 4 years, who knows?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what it looks like next winter.
Yeah, the first bike, the first bike we built, didn't have anywhere near what we wanted for the engine.
Right.
But it was, it was working through the ergonomics and that type of stuff. We Franken-biked a number of them and just cut, re-weld, reassemble, cut again.
You should see my bike, snow bike graveyard. It's the same as this place, but instead of different, like, four-wheeler stuff, it's all snow bikes.
we got to have a yard sale someday.
They're in the woods. They're just everywhere. Like someone's going to buy the house in 100 years and be like, what was this guy doing? Where are these things?
Yeah. So the first big bike was tough.
Yeah.
The second iteration was better. Mm-hmm. And we're on the third prototype now.
Yeah. And we're not even there yet. So, we're going to try to make it the best we can. Obviously, you wrote it.
Yep.
I'm sure you have some things to say about it. Go right ahead.
Yeah. So, like you said, it's almost there. It's got a lot of promising, elements. Like I was saying, the CVT is really good for climbing hills because, not just shifting gears in the hill, but like if you pull into a hill in the wrong gear, you lose a bunch of momentum and all of that. So the CVT part is really good. I'm not even really a 2-stroke guy myself. I prefer 4 strokes, but when it's up on the pipe, it sounds really good and it's got really good power. Even considering that you're still on the carburetor because you're still working out the EFI.
Yep.
So running from you guys live what, like
we live at 290 feet.
Right.
Yeah.
And
so it rips all the time.
Exactly. So, and then you bring it out here where we parked the truck at 4,400 feet.
Yeah. That thing is a bone.
Right.
I couldn't even get half throttle.
Even
initially,
yeah,
by the time it was over, we were ripping.
But even still, it wasn't revving. It was only revving to like 7,200 RPM or whatever.
I have
74.
not got past 7,400 RPM the whole weekend.
Right,
so
and it's supposed to rev to 86.
It revs to 86.
Yeah,
it makes power.
So you're losing out on 1,000 RPM of range. The clutch tuning was pretty decent, but not perfect. And then also dealing with carburation issues of constant elevation changes and everything else. Given all of that, it was still every bit as fast as all of the best snow bikes out there.
It was even.
Yeah, it was even. It was. That's what I mean. Every bit as like we raced up a hill like two or three times.
So we didn't expect to come out here and just basically just blow everyone away. That was not the goal.
Right.
But we definitely got some data.
Yeah.
And now we know how or what we have to do.
Right.
So we're gonna go back to New Hampshire, go back to the Bat Cave, and just start working again.
And like the Snowhawk that we were talking about, it felt a little front heavy. Not like it wasn't unrideably front heavy or anything, but it doesn't have the same like bouncy, light, lift the ski up in the air feel that a lot of the very modern snow bikes have, which granted those bikes have at this point, a decade of innovation from numerous companies that have all been, and a decade of consumers riding them and telling them what they want. So like, what that is, but you're starting with a whole different platform. So getting to that point in just a few years by yourself it's already a good.
Yeah. It's just going to take a little bit of work, a little bit more work. Unfortunately, as we all know, we weren't able to try the skid that we had brought because
we lost. Yeah. Go ahead.
Delta still has our skid somewhere, and hopefully we will get our skid back.
We built this like awesome skid that's gonna lift the front end up and basically fix that. We worked on it all week because we're waiting for the bike to get here, and we checked it with our bags, and they probably thought it was a sketchy bomb or something. So they just like, no, this is not going on the airplane. And then it's disappeared. We haven't.
Yeah, they shipped it on the airplane behind us is what they've told us, and who knows where it went. But yeah, it was, coming here was awesome. Seeing you, Ethan, after all the years, and then being able to have folks that were willing to get on the bike, give us honest opinions, because, after working on it for 4 years out there, and we're in New England snow, we had something that we liked. It is it does stay two planted.
Right. It's extremely stable, like very easy to ride on.
Yeah.
On the trail
for a beginner, they would love it because it just doesn't do anything. It just stays flat.
Right.
It just stays flat and climbs.
Yep.
But what you really need is you do need that flickability. Right. As you said, it does turn easier. You just lean and turn.
Right.
And so, we got some ergonomics to do and some suspension work to do, but where we've started and where we've come to, what's left to do is,
it's all the little stuff, all the little details, all the fine tuning and stuff. But
I was dying. Did you see what your dog just did? He fully came on.
You mean my wife's dog?
Yeah, he splooged both sides of me, both my arms, almost knocked over the tripod, and now he's back for more menacing.
Einstein, are you being a little terrorist?
Do you want to grab me?
Yeah, I don't think the camera's even pointing at us anymore.
Okay, I'll go check that real quick.
It was centered on me.
We are back in action, and this little guy is...
Einstein, the podcast terrorist.
Yeah, he finds the most expensive camera with the most expensive lens, and that's where
and he ate my toothbrush. I don't know how he got it this morning.
Well, your bag was just like sitting out there.
Yeah.
And I think he just
ate it.
Like pulled your toothbrush out and ate it.
Well, I was really happy today seeing you fabricating on our mini Jeep today I saw a toothbrush handle sticking out of the pocket of your sweats, and you're just out there grinding, and I'm like, heck yeah.
He reclaimed it from Einstein.
Well, I haven't had a toothbrush in 3 days because I forgot it. So it was really hard to get this toothbrush. I had to drive like 50 miles out of town because you guys live
50
nowhere.
miles.
So I was like, I'm not letting it go in the trash. I'm like, dog breath, fine, I can deal with it.
Yeah, we're out getting the toothbrush, and we reach out to Ethan, and he's like, "Did you guys get lost?" We're like, "No, we're going like halfway across the state to get a toothbrush."
Derek has bad breath.
So
get a toothbrush.
Anyone who lives in the West, and especially in our area of it, will understand how funny this is. But Mike was telling me after, or I forget which one of you guys was telling me, but they were driving in the car the truck after we were snow biking. And as you know, there's no service out there. Mm-hmm. So they're just like, oh, we need to get to the store, but they still don't have service. So they just pick a direction and start driving. And they're like, oh, there's got to be something eventually. And then which one of you guys...
Derek said there's got to be something eventually. And I said, no, there doesn't.
Because they're from New Hampshire, where there's towns, like you can go any direction, and maybe 10 miles you'll find
there's
something.
Always a country store somewhere.
Right.
Yes.
Out here, that is not true. You guys are very lucky that you picked that direction, because most directions you could have chosen were like
Well, the one store in town is the most delicious place I have Like,
that's not even in town. The one just down the street from my house. Yeah.
What is that place called?
We'll just leave that out so people don't find us. But
oh my god, yeah, exactly. But yeah, oh my god,
delicious.
that place is insanely good.
Amazing.
Like I'm like blown away by how good
You know
that
what's
place
funny?
was.
You've been to a couple places in town, but there's the the local magazines that say like, oh, this is the finest.
They rate
the
everything.
best this, the best Mexican food. So this place for the viewers is a gas station with like the row of fridges of like drinks behind you, and then there's a couple crickety little tables, and you like self-serve your own drinks, and then people that are stopping or going and grabbing drinks behind you and buying them and stuff. And it is the inside of a gas station.
It's a very small, nondescript place. But
and
my
calling
god,
it a gas station is also quite
there's only one pump.
An exaggeration. Yeah, there's one pump that's like 300 years old.
Yeah, and it's so awkward. So you have to. Like, people are eating their food sitting down, and you have to be like, excuse me, like,
you have to
open the door and get the beer, and they're like, the guy's just like, what are you doing? I'm like, I have my beers behind you.
But the point is, it's the best food in town, and
just unbelievable food.
Yeah, so
in the local magazine, it won for all of Sandpoint best fine dining. Was the category. Not
fine
best
dining.
Food, not best barbecue sandwich. Best fine dining in all of Sandpoint.
I agree.
Yeah.
To be fair, you've only sampled 2 other places, but it's good.
The food was fine. The building and the chairs, maybe not so fine.
Yeah, it's not a fine dining establishment, but the food is.
Mm-hmm. We like taking people there, especially from out of town, because it's like, well, one, it's actually good, but it's an experience.
It is.
Like, like if you're coming from the city or something, it's like, wow, it's a different way of life out here.
You haven't really lived until you've been sitting there eating your delicious breakfast, and then somebody comes in and has to lean over your table, and like you have to move your chair so they can buy a case of beer.
Exactly. That's what we did.
Exactly.
We did that.
Yeah. You were the leaners, not the eaters, but it's
was
next
really
time
awkward.
you'll be the eaters.
Yeah.
It's super funny. And then I'm like, do they serve beer here? I'm like, so I asked the waitress, I'm like, can I just take a beer and drink it here? Or whatever. She's like, yeah, take whatever you want.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. You just, if you're eating there, you just open the, beverage cooler and pick out whatever you want and drink it.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
That's America. That's what that is. That's America. There's so many damn rules everywhere. I'm like, Idaho's got it figured out.
Yeah. Idaho is one of them. Like, we're standing strong.
Like, have you ever heard of Cumberland Farms? Like, have you ever seen one of those? That's what we have up in New Hampshire. That's like going to Cumberland Farms and having like tables, and you just like sit there and it's like unheard of.
So
like,
Cumberland Farms is like a little gas station thing with a bunch of food and stuff in it. But that's exactly what they did here. They took all the convenience store stuff out, left all the beer, and put in a bunch of tables and serve amazing food.
Gourmet sandwiches.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's what it is for real. I think I got distracted with the whole Einstein and the tripod situation.
Anyway,
but,
what were we talking about?
Snow bikes.
Well, we were talking about snow bikes, but what I'm curious is where the idea spurred from, and because it's like one thing to be like, someday we're going to make a purpose-built snow bike that's better than what's out there, but it's a whole nother thing entirely to actually get the gumption and do it and stick to it for 4 years.
No, it's like it's literally like 7 years.
Oh, okay.
Just this iteration is like 4 years.
Professionally, like getting paid to do it maybe 4 years.
Uh-huh.
But before that, I was just doing it just to do it.
Oh, so you were just
I was
like we are.
Yeah. I build crazy stuff. I build stuff.
Yeah, there are people out there that'll be listening to the podcast and they know them. There was the Evo, there was the 190. So there were these mostly one-off bikes where people would ship to Derek an engine and the ignition system and everything, and he would custom build a chopper, if you will, for the snow.
Oh,
and so. They were really cool. They were neat to have. They'll probably be worth some money someday. And some of them were pretty capable, but they weren't production, and they didn't go through the type of testing that we're doing right now. And so at one point, somebody knew somebody who knew Derek, and then they knew me. And I always loved to get involved in kind of new crazy things. And Derek and I hit it off. We're about 20 years difference in age, or 15, something like that. And we get along great.
You guys you kind of interact like siblings. I feel like you're just like older brother, younger brother, like that sort of vibe.
Yeah,
it's like
it works. Well, so basically, he's like, so in a nutshell, he's finance, I'm engineering. I let him into engineering sometimes. He doesn't let me into finance, but
That's probably good.
I'm learning. So yeah, that's kind of the dynamic.
Yeah, so we ran
So
into
we're 50-50 on the company.
Nice.
So we ran into each other about 5 years ago. And so the first thing that we did is we put in a production bike, and it's called the Mountain Light.
No. It was called it was a Woodsman.
Yeah, so the Woodsman, and so we wanted to build something small. It had a Honda GX270 motor in it. It it was tiny, but it was really cool. And so we made a handful of those. And we still have people wanting them. People were reaching out like, when are you going to bring the Woodsman back in production? And we're like, oh, probably not. So after we did that for a year and a half, we said, all right, we got to get something a little more powerful, and we want to continue the progression towards the bike that we're working on now. So this has been ongoing for quite a while. And so we built the Mountain Light. It's a 200cc bike. It's a lot of fun.
And that's the one that you guys sent us a sort of prototype of.
Yeah, pretty much.
You actually had the one that still had the gear
sets on it. So we contacted that Daytona company, and we had them take the gear set off and just output shaft to CVT.
Right.
So we got that done only because it's the only company that would talk to us. Because we couldn't find a motor to save our lives. To this day, no one will sell you a motor.
Right.
Good luck. Like, you can go to Alibaba and buy some Chinese crap, but
is it a liability thing or what?
They just don't want to share.
I don't know what it is. We've called some of the manufacturers, and they want their stuff in their
yeah. They put the work, they put the money into it. They want it.
And
I get that.
And I'm sure it's also like they don't see any point in dealing with you to sell you like 100 engines.
Yeah,
like,
that's pretty much.
Like if you were buying 100,000, they'd probably talk to you.
They would, yeah.
But,
So we were our quantities are small. No one really wants to talk to us, even though they do now because we have a really good website and we have we look the part. So now it's easier, but still we wouldn't be able to get it done.
Right.
Yeah, so the Mountain Light it's a fun. I actually love it. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's going to kill you in the right snow conditions, like what we were doing up here. You literally could run around up here with that little bike, and it would be so much fun because it's CVT driven and it's light.
Well, and when we had the previous version of that with the gear set still, and I think that had a much worse track on it than what you guys did. It was like a
3/4 inch track.
Yeah, it was a little. But even that thing was super fun. It was so small, and it was fun in a silly way, like a pit bike, and like you can just
that's what it was meant
to be.
Yeah.
It was supposed to just rip around
it's
the yard.
Snow bike pit bike.
And that was the original idea. So let me start with this. So that was the original idea. So like I really liked Timber Sled. I couldn't afford one. I was like a teenager. I just thought it was so cool. I'm like, why don't they make a little pit bike once? Because the pit bike craze was going on. Like when I was like 18 to 26. And I'm like, dude, they got to make a pit bike, snow bike. I'm like, I'm going to do it. So I actually still have it. I'll send you some pictures of it. So I got this, like the little 120 snowmobile tracks. I bought one of those, rigged it up, put it on a pit bike. Sucked. Sucked. It's like you have a ripper kit. Just basically a trencher.
Yeah, it's kind of like that one you got hanging up over there.
It
just didn't go through the snow. So I'm like, all right. So what I did is I took the kit and I just put a seat on top of it and I strapped the motor to the kit with a set of handlebars, and it was like god awful looking, but it went through like 3 feet of snow.
So did you even have a ski, or did you just sit on
No,
the
I had a
track?
ski. I had a snowboard cut in half.
He did.
That's
so
hilarious.
no one could ride it. It was like a kind of a party favorite.
Right.
Because everyone started drinking around the bonfire and they'd see it and be like, what is that? I'm like, try to ride it. And everyone just eat it. Like they could not, no one could ride it. It was like a circus, whatever you want to call it. And so, but it was good. It could go through some serious snow because the track was underneath it. Even though the track was tiny, it did way better than the pit bike did.
Right.
So, and then I'm like, I did a better iteration of that, and I got actually a lot of people emailing me and stuff like that. I'm like, I can make a business doing this because I didn't want to. At the time, I was doing fixing cars and like auto sales, and I had no passion to keep doing that.
Right.
And I was like 30 years old. I'm like, I'm going to start this new chapter in my life. I'm going to be in the snow bike business. Like there was no ifs, ands, or buts. And here I am.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's super cool. You
made
it happen.
There was no money for so long, just scratching and clawing. And I didn't know Mike. I was just trying so hard and just basically failing. And then, basically got a little bit of money behind me. I'm like, all right, we can make this happen.
Yeah, and you hear that from a lot of entrepreneurs.
Right.
They got a great idea. They sacrifice, life, family,
Right.
money to go after that idea. And I think Derek and I were fortunate enough to run into each other.
Right.
Because he's got the idea. He's definitely got the passion. I mean, in the 500, we built our own motor.
Right.
I mean, how many people would think of going out? I mean, we literally took the case, built the case,
right.
Had a crank built. I mean, we've used a CR500 piston and connecting rod, but
why redesign that?
We
That's
took the
easy to-
jug. We reached out to a company in Italy, worked with them to create a jug and change all the port timing and everything. So we've got a CR500 that's making power between 6,000 and 8,500.
Yeah, so like the stock
who
CR
would do that?
wouldn't make any power. It makes good power, but only it stops at like 6,500 RPM.
Right.
We changed the port timing so it just screams.
Well, and you added a power valve too, which is
exactly.
not a thing that
And a counterbalance,
Right.
but I mean the point is, it was awesome that we ran into each other because Derek just does come up with some like outrageous ideas. Like when he first came to me and said, "Hey, we're gonna build an engine," and I was like, "We need a budget."
Well, how much does that cost?
It's called There's No Budget.
In the end, it turned out we went way beyond the budget.
Well, I mean, you say this certain company spent $1 million on a track. We got a lot more on a track,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, for what you've done, I get the impression you've spent a very small amount of money to get where you are compared to what pretty much anything else, anyone else is doing.
Yes, because there's only me. We have some guys putting bikes together, but they're not on engineering.
Right, they're assembling the bikes that you've been selling.
So
for the past few years.
they wait for me to come up with something we can sell, which they're waiting for right now, and then those guys will start building them.
Although I will say we have one bike we haven't talked about. So we have on the Mountain Light platform. Which is a 121-inch track, 7 inches wide, 1.5 inch paddle. So again,
with the Daytona 190.
Right.
So that's the Mountain Light. But then we have something called the Sendee.
Mm-hmm.
And this year we've sold a lot of Sendees.
Right.
And so the Sendee is it's the Mountain Light platform with a electric motor on it and a battery system. And we can hook it up so that you get one battery and at full throttle, you're going to have a lot of fun for about 45 minutes. Or you can just, ride it normally and you're going to have fun for a good hour and a half. We can also put a second battery right next to it. So you just doubled all your time. And we've got a couple of them out. Oh, my goodness, we can't name names. We've got one of them with a helicopter guide service out in the Northwest, and they're just having a ball with that thing.
Yeah,
we made a longer track. We put bigger paddles.
Yeah,
so we customized it for them.
Yeah, so that's our best product we have, right? That's the best thing we are selling is the Sendee because it's like a D-Walt. It's just you put the battery in. There's never anything wrong with it. It just works.
And we literally have that in some of the most wealthy communities in the Midwest.
Well, they are on the pricey side, so that's kind of where they land.
But at the same time, they're able to take these things. They're completely quiet.
That's what I was going to say.
And they're able to run around in these gated mountain communities
without pissing off at the neighbors or violating HOAs or whatever.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter how much money you have. I mean, you always got rednecks, right?
Yeah.
So you got rednecks with a lot of money in these places, and they just want to have some fun.
Right. Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah. So are you guys going to continue producing the Sendee?
Yeah, we're gonna finalize some things, get some plastic fit and finish parts, like get away from the CRF gas tank.
Gotcha. Make it look a little bit more.
Make
like
it ours, basically.
Yeah, right.
So
that's
pretty much all it needs.
And we're likely gonna widen the track a little bit.
Yeah, we went a little too down with the track.
And then we're probably gonna build our own motor for the gas version one. Because we were just talking about that.
For the gas for the new version of the Mountain Light.
Yeah, since we've got the 500, geez, first try it was crazy. I mean, the thing is so dependable.
Right.
And so we sat there and said, hey, it's 24 horse on the little bike is a lot of fun for somebody who's not looking to go far and high in deep snow. but there might be people that want their kids to follow them.
That's definitely a market for that.
And so we're looking, saying 24 horse. We got to get bigger than that. So we might build a 45 horsepower 2-stroke and put it on that. Think about the one that we sent you if it had 45 horsepower.
45 horse.
It would be a monster.
But factory bike. Just this little angry little 2-stroke. So we're gonna put one together and we're gonna ship you it to play with.
Oh yeah.
We
are here for the snow bike testing.
But like all that whole idea of like putting big engines and little things, we're gonna make that a factory option. Just like this little bike, big motor, you can have it. Here you go for this price.
That's good. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, and then we're trying to get the price point way down. So that's kind of, we have a lot of work to do on obviously the 500, but that's the Mountain Light's been pretty proven, and we already put the R&D into it. So it just needs a little more.
Yes, there's really 3 products. So 2 of them based on the Mountain Light platform, 1 electric, 1 gas, and then the big bike.
Yeah, you could even like convert. It's like it's the same chassis, so like you could almost convert it to electric if you didn't want it with the right parts.
Right,
you could do it possibly.
Yeah. So back to what you were saying a minute ago about how this, the new engine, it's so dependable. That's something that's pretty crazy. For the 2 days that we were out in the mountains riding that thing, we had plenty of problems. We broke a chain. We had some overheating issues. We had various issues, but that engine didn't ever complain about anything.
Yeah,
which is
weird.
Crazy because, like, I've been building weird machines for 7 years. I mean, for the channel at least, I've been building weird machines a lot longer than that, but especially weird machines, and like stuff always breaks. Like that's just how it is. You expect it. You go out there and you're like, oh, yep, that's what I thought.
Yeah, you get used to it.
It's crazy to think that you built the engine and that didn't have any problems. Like,
you got to get lucky somewhere.
I'll tell you, we didn't expect the engine to be this durable and this dependable.
Because if somebody just came up to you and was like, yeah, I built this engine, it's a prototype bike, we're gonna take it out in the mountains, they'd be like, yeah, your engine's gonna blow up. Like that's what you would expect.
Yeah.
But we had problems everywhere else, but not that.
Yeah, we had the typical.
Not everywhere else.
But we had the typical stuff. The track and skid held together.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, a lot of the stuff that broke was self-inflicted.
Oh, absolutely. Like the cap on the carburetor that fell off because you didn't tighten it.
I took the cap off and I didn't put it back on.
Yeah, and maybe the jack shaft sprocket that probably should have been changed.
Had like 1 tooth left on it.
And we went out anyway.
And then we're like, yeah, it's good, but it broke an hour later.
Yeah.
We're learning when you're prototyping and you're at home, it doesn't matter if stuff breaks, you just bring it back and fix it. But when you ship the bike 3,000 miles away, you should probably take everything off and go through everything like you're going to a race and then put it all back.
I brought every part for that bike, just not the sprocket.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw your guys' box of parts, and I heard about the day you guys had out there.
Yeah, but we're leaving with a custom-made grind-hard jack shaft sprocket.
Right. That's
true.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. No worries.
Yeah, I mean, it's we've got enough tools to do some serious damage here. That's for sure.
You're
like
very
nothing
well
super fancy, but
especially with your newfound haul,
or all of our dumpster diving ground scores. Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Yep.
Especially in suspension. I mean,
yeah, the shocks are out of control here.
We probably have the nicest suspension stockpile of
there's
any other YouTube channel.
There's a wall of shocks back there that's pretty impressive.
Yep.
And that's just like a sample of like 1 or 2 of each type of shock. We have like 5 bins full of shocks.
Did Steven say you counted them?
We did a rough estimate because we picked up a bunch and like as I put them in a bin to organize them, I counted them, and we estimated that there's probably like 40 to 50 shocks per bin. Mm-hmm. And there's 5 bins plus all the ones on the wall.
And they are not cheap shocks.
No, none of them are cheap shocks. I mean, some of them are like on the lower end, but they're all like Fox and Walker Evans shocks. They're not
You should tell the dumpster diving story as much as you can.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think that talking about it would get anyone in trouble, but we'll just leave out names anyway, just to be safe. A local business is shutting down their shop where they did all their engineering and designing of something that, will not be mentioned. Anyway, something that needs lots of nice shocks. And, the people that work there know us and we know them, and we, and they like appreciate our videos and what we do. And a lot of the stuff had to just throw away because there's just like, for a large business, there's no way to sell like individual little used parts or non-inventory parts or prototype parts. Like you can't just like go, you can't sell it. You can't, as a business, you would spend more manpower paying someone, or you'd spend more money paying someone to list them and try to get rid of them than you would get out of them.
And you're taking on too much liability.
Yeah, and liability, because many of those shocks are used. Some of them are prototypes, and like anyway, and all the other stuff we got out of the metal dumpster. Like it's all stuff that like, yeah, it's valuable to us, and it might be valuable to a lot of random individuals, but not in a way that's valuable to a company.
Yep.
So they had to get rid of a ton of stuff, and the shocks specifically, they would have had to pay to get rid of them because the scrapyard doesn't like dealing with pressurized things, so they charge per unit of a pressurized thing that they have to dispose of.
It's crazy to think of that it would cost them more money
to throw them away, or
throw it away.
Yeah, right.
Like, that's crazy.
I mean,
yeah,
like,
American
who knows?
waste.
Yeah,
but that is what it is.
Anyway, so yeah, they you know, I knew that they were getting rid of a bunch of stuff, and I said, hey, if you have anything that you know that you can give us, or you know that you can let us pick through some stuff, let me know. And they were like, oh yeah, come by. Here's the pile of stuff. Here's what you can take. Here's what you can't. And I was like, sweet.
Dive into the dumpster.
We have
sold.
I think we're at like 3 or 4 pickup truck loads of stuff at this point, between like shocks and random metal scrap and all of that.
And we can't wait. We can't wait to see what you build with all of it.
Well, I mean, one of them's right like that. There's 4 of the shocks right behind us here on the giant trike.
Yeah.
Those are the nicest ones too.
Yeah,
Those are
I did.
The
Yes, they are the nicest ones out of the bin. Yeah.
That day though was so funny. I had to edit, and they were just like, "Oh, we're dumpster diving," and I was like, "Oh, cool." And then just getting picture after picture of Ethan like head first in this dumpster, and I'm like, "What is going on?" And then like you were there all day, because like at like 5 or 6 p.m. I just get a picture of Ethan just sitting in a massive pile of shocks, and I was like, "Oh man, they were dumpster diving." I thought you guys were gonna get like some pieces of scrap aluminum and like a couple seats.
I went in there expecting them to be like, okay, you can have like 5 of these and 3 of those, and you know. And I was just like, we went back for more, because the first time I was just so overwhelmed. It was like, it was a bin half the size of this welding table, which is 5 by 8, 5 by 7. I don't know, whatever. It was like a 4 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot deep bin, full to the brim of shocks. And I was just like, how do I pick? Like, what do I take? What do I not like? I don't
gotta take it off.
Yeah. So I was just like digging through there, looking for all the random weird looking ones. Cause like, you know, having 74 of the same shock isn't really that helpful for what we do, but having like 12 different types of shocks. Anyway, yeah. So that was crazy. So shout out to everybody there that, you know, let us dumpster dive. That was awesome.
Well, come May, they can talk about it, right? And
I
assume
assume
we could
so.
at that point.
Yeah. I mean, it's not, like I said, we could talk about it. It's not like illegal or anything. I just don't, you know, I wouldn't want anybody there to get in trouble if somebody higher up was like, hey, you shouldn't have given that away type of thing.
Yeah.
You know,
But like you said, you know, in all honesty, they probably saved money.
Right. Totally. Yeah. They
didn't have to. They didn't have to load it. They didn't have to ship it. They didn't have to pay to get rid of it.
Right.
Yeah. They'd have to pay someone to poke a hole in each one of those shocks to let the pressure out.
Yep. And drain the oil out. And
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
probably
crazy.
is actually kind of expensive.
Yeah. I have no idea what a recycling place charges for that, but
Yeah.
Yeah. So today was a lot of fun when we decided this morning that we weren't going to take the bike back out again. We just figured, you know, it'd be a nice day to kind of hang out and help here in the shop. And we're glad we got to wrench a little bit on the Jeep. That was fun.
Yeah. It's fun having a community project like that, because this year, more than in the past, we've had guests like yourselves, you know, hanging out here in the shop and stuff. And it's been cool to have something just be like, oh yeah, this isn't finished. Just pick what you want to work on and go to town, because like most people that are hanging out here want to work on stuff for fun. So
yeah, it was fun to get it started and then build at least build partially the exhaust.
Yeah.
It
was super fun. Thanks for helping out.
We got it all piped in, and we didn't finish the ending, but it's it'll work.
It's a lot
It's some
closer than it
progress.
was this morning.
Yeah. It ran today. So
how do you guys think that thing's going to do?
It actually looks pretty awesome. Like the axles look really good and well done. So it's gonna rip.
I own a lot of land up in New Hampshire, and I'd love to have that thing bombing around in my tree farm. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
Does it have lockers?
Not yet, but it will.
Yeah, that is going to be ridiculous.
That thing's just going to go anywhere.
Oh, it'll be
unstoppable.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. It's basically just a scaled down competition rock crawler.
Yeah.
Like it has all the same stuff. I mean, the only thing it doesn't have is rear steer that a comp crawler would have, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
We actually bought that Tesla out there in New Hampshire, totaled up, and do you know Electrified Garage?
And Rich Rebuilds.
I know Rich Rebuilds.
Yeah, that's just his like actual business part of it. But
so we got it shipped there, and they got it like working again, and then over what was it, like 10 days we were working on it. Doing
dude, it wasn't even close to 10 days. We had like 4 days of actual shop time because we also went and drove a Sherp into the that river? The Charles River. We drove a Sherp just into the river in the downtown Boston or wherever.
Did they like that or did they not like that?
Nobody complained. Like we didn't get any trouble whatsoever.
Oh my God, I'm surprised in Boston.
Yeah,
we parked
the
like
Ivy League University that we parked.
Harvard?
Not all of them.
Yeah,
MIT.
Yeah, it was.
It was right next to MIT actually.
Yeah, we just parked
You're right in
in.
Cambridge.
They probably thought it was some like kind of like equipment to like clean up the sink.
Well, you know what? Well, you know what they do? They got the duck tours.
Yeah.
So they see these. They see these like
when they're already
amphibious army vehicles pulling in all the time.
That's when they're already in the water. So we didn't just like go to a boat launch. We parked not legally
at a rowing
park.
club.
No, it was just
It's a rowing club for a college. They had all the boats.
Oh, that's Harvard.
That's right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we just like dropped the trailer off at Harvard and drove the Sherp off the trailer into the Charles.
Just through a public park, just over the grass and just down the side of the, like there were people just like
ballsy.
And there was this random
drove into the
girl
river.
that was working on her laptop, and Rich is just so funny. Rich and Steven, they're hilarious. I think Steven just goes right up to her. He's like, hey, you want to come?
She was asking us some questions. She's like, what is that thing? What are you guys doing? Because like we were loading up camera gear and stuff.
And she just came with us.
She just hopped in a Sherp with like 5 random dudes and floated down the Charles.
Wow.
Yeah. And then there's an issue where the gas cap wasn't sealed right.
And it's
so
like
the
in a
water,
terrible location.
Yeah, it's really not a good design. And the water got into the diesel. Oh, no. And so we, like, and you know how nasty that river is. So we lose power. We're can't start.
Floating down the river, just drifting with no control.
Yeah, and there's a set of locks down at the end that you got to worry about because it goes into the ocean.
Right.
Yeah. So we were
what happened?
worried about this.
How do you get it running?
So this isn't our Steven. This is East Coast Steven.
He was part of Rich's channel.
So he just grabs a rope, jumps in, swims to shore, and pulls us in. It is.
And we tied it up at a dock. And
another college's rowing dock. I mean, maybe it's.
I don't remember what dock that was.
Well, down the river, you might have ended up at MIT at that point.
It was very close to MIT. I don't know if it was their dock or something. It wasn't a public dock, but it also wasn't. I don't remember what it was.
But the whole time, just a couple weird looks. That's it.
Yeah, people looked at us weird, but nobody complained at all. So then so I stayed in the Sherp with. I don't know, some of Rich and one of his guys or whatever.
And then Steven and I hitchhiked and went and got
a fresh can of diesel. So once we figured out that for sure there was water in the diesel and stuff, the plan was they were going to go get a can with diesel in it, and then we just put the pickup tube straight into the diesel can and just ran off of that so we weren't sucking in water. So they got back and, we finally got it going again, and then we went back upstream. We only went like maybe half a mile total, but we went half a mile down and then half a mile back up. And of course, going upstream was super slow, unbelievably slow.
We had a current coming at us, and that thing is just so slow. So we ended up riding half on shore.
Yeah,
we went over the tires on shore,
Perfect.
and we're just blasting through shore, like hitting tree branches and stuff.
I'm surprised. I mean, there's Department of Homeland Security boats
so many
out
things.
there. There's state police boats out there.
No, we were all
It's
prepared.
not on the Charles, but they're right outside in the
And
harbor.
it was legally registered as a boat. So
Well,
I guess there's that.
There you
but
go. I guess if you're registered, you're registered.
Yeah,
it's still not something I would ever attempt on my own liability,
Yeah.
you know, like we were just along for the ride. We could have just been
it
like,
was-
I don't know, man. They told us it was legal.
No,
you know,
Rich was driving.
Rich was driving. Yeah,
That's all that matters.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, but I would absolutely never just do that on my own.
I thought we were gonna get dragged out of there by
for sure.
some
I was like,
kind
this
of,
is
you know,
the day I get arrested.
Yeah.
No doubt.
we were all prepared for it. There was even like a helicopter flying around the city, and it was like kind of near us, and like we
Didn't
thought
even look.
maybe even it was following us because we're bringing an armored vehicle looking thing
Yeah,
into
next
Boston.
thing, well, that's what I was thinking. I mean, you're literally going down the river in something that looks like an armored vehicle
Right.
in today's day and age.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we
Yeah, it
thought
was-
for
it was pretty
sure-
wild.
Yeah, I was
It
like,
was-
today's the day, and I kind of have this thing where like I want to get arrested for doing something like that at some point.
It's really bizarre.
I've never had that feeling.
Yeah, but like I've done a lot of like really dumb stuff, and like that was one of them where I was like, "This is it. It's finally gonna happen."
I'm gonna make it.
So that was a really good sidetrack, but I think the point here was that we also went to New Hampshire
I think that's what
and
you
went
started.
to we went to an off-road. What was the name of that town? Was it
Yeah. Well, the thing
Oh,
is we
man, I
couldn't
can't
find
remember.
a place to drive the thing.
because there's no like
Yeah.
sanctioned off-roading
Yeah.
there.
And there
at
was
all.
this place that one of them was like, "Oh yeah, like we've been here before, but it was a long time ago." So we go there and it's like developed. So we just went through the parking lot and just went on this old off-road trail, and it wasn't exciting enough to really put the Tesla to the test, you know.
It was just
then,
like
yeah.
a little loop around like a undeveloped field near a city. It was like nothing.
Yeah.
It was just
It was
like
kinda
a little bit
janky.
of ruts at the beginning that made it interesting. And
we
then
had the
after that, it was
Sherp
just-
there too.
Yeah, we had the Sherp there as well.
Yeah, there's a number of towns. When I was
Is he still-
younger, I mean, I'm 58, so when I was younger, there were less tarred roads in the town I grew up in than dirt roads, and there were right outside of Manchester and right outside of Concord, and right outside Nashua, there was some really nice mud pits.
Yeah.
And so
Nice.
you might have been around one of those towns, but they've all been developed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then we went a couple hours up and I forget what the name of that. It was a very, very small town. I can picture Josh saying the name of the town, but I can't remember what it was.
And he
Anyway.
was so proud of it.
I know.
He's going to be so disappointed.
Was it
if he
Lebanon
listens to this.
or something?
There
Lebanon?
is- well, yeah, there's Lebanon.
Yeah, Lebanon's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. It might have been that.
Is there a big like
It's
off-road,
tiny, and there's like a-
bounty hole type?
There's like a little off-road park there. It's on private property. Like
Possibly that.
Anyway.
I'm not, there's a lot of
Okay.
mud bog
Is it
drags up
at
there.
Jericho? Ring a bell?
no,
No.
I think it was Lebanon. But,
but
anyway,
we went there and ripped, and it
Yeah.
was awesome.
but yeah, it was like a mud bogging place. Like you would go there and they'd have a mud bogging event, and they had
Yeah.
a bounty hole that nobody's ever crossed. So we took the Sherp there and just floated across it,
Yeah.
and got it stuck on the way back.
yeah.
So
And you
that's
were
my
driving then, right?
That's my claim to fame
Yeah.
is that I got a Sherp stuck very quickly within like 5 minutes of getting in it. I just got it stuck.
That's a good good mud bog if you
And
can
then we
get a Sherpa stuck.
Yeah, then we winched it out with the Tesla. So.
Yeah, I was, seeing the Sherp get stuck in there, I'm like, this bounty hole, that bounty is secure. Like, that's like Fort Knox bounty right there. Like, no one's getting it.
Yeah, yeah, that was fun.
But yeah, all of that to say, if we end up needing a place to wheel in New Hampshire, we got to hit you up since you said
Oh,
you got
yeah.
property there.
Yeah, hey, I got property.
Yeah, he's got the property. And
Yeah.
You definitely get you stuck out there for
Yeah.
sure.
Really? Cool. That's
Nice.
good. That's a dream. Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you guys came out here.
Yeah, I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's been
Yeah.
awesome.
It was actually really nerve wracking, the whole thing, because it's like, all right, new bike.
Oh, the week before, Derek was a
big
mess.
Mountains. They lost the bike at one point.
Oh yeah,
on
the shipping.
Friday.
The day you were flying out here, the
Yeah.
shipping company was like, "We don't know where
We
it
don't-
is."
Like, it's gone. Like, it's not here.
Oh,
and
no.
Then, and then their supervisor calls, and they're like, "Yeah, it's here. Don't mind her." Like, just kidding.
It's all about talking to the right person sometimes.
I called everybody.
We're going to find out about talking to the right person tomorrow morning when we go looking for our skid
Right.
in Spokane.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, every time that we travel now, we just bring it on carry-on. Like the whole podcast setup is one of our carry-ons. The
Yep.
whole camera bag's one of our carry-ons. We just come in with like 50 big lithium-ion batteries and just no one's ever said anything.
We used to even on that trip where we went to New Hampshire and other various states in that region. We still had it was before the DJI FPV drone that Edwin was flying today came out. We still had like a hobby style home built one that has LiPo batteries, like the ones that are really flammable.
That were duct taped together.
And I went on a plane with like 5 of those. They didn't even look twice.
Yeah.
But certain iterations of a Samsung phone, nope, can't have that.
Yeah.
Gotta love TSA.
Yeah. I thought for sure they were going to be like, this is not allowed, and we'd have to go take it back to the car or whatever. But they were just like, they didn't even ask.
Yeah.
They're just,
Crazy.
there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me, when we came back from SEMA this year, we had our chopper at the Duplicolor booth down there, and a bunch of people came and stopped by, and obviously to talk to us and see it. But some of them like had businesses doing various things. One of them was glue treads. They make like a really heavy duty tire patch kit that you can actually like patch a sidewall with. Like if you can just like gash your sidewall open and slap it on the outside and it'll get you home. Anyway, they make that whole kit, and so I think it was the owner of the company, stopped by and he's like, hey, I love what you guys do here. I wanted to give you one of these. And so he gave me the kit, and I never opened it or looked at it. I threw a few other random things that people gave into the same bag. And I was standing there when we went through the security, and I was watching the x-ray machine, and in it, there's two, the tire plugger kits. They have like a T-handle shaped metal thing. They're both very sharp.
Oh, boy.
Two of those in there. They didn't care. I saw it, and I was just standing there for, this however far away.
No way I would have gotten through with
they
that.
They didn't even see it. Like, they were looking at something else, and just like, I walked on the plane with two shanks.
Like, you're one away from having a full Wolverine hand.
I was like, how did they let me? I wouldn't have even cared if they wanted to throw them away. Like, I was
you almost
whatever.
went up to him and said, hey, don't let me on with
yeah,
those.
right. I was like, oh God, this is gonna be bad. And then they just waved me on through. How?
Man, they took my corkscrew.
You're not
last time
me
I
feel
flipped-
good about flying home.
Yeah.
Come on.
Anyway, yeah, that was pretty funny. But where we were going with that. Anyway, it was,
I don't know. Maybe it's just time to eat.
yeah, I think we should.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably the
Yeah.
case. We're probably getting hungry and
Yeah.
losing our track.
I think
train
that's
of
it.
thought.
Your brain takes
Yeah.
a lot of calories. So,
Yeah.
thanks for watching the Set and Bent podcast. It's available wherever you listen to or watch podcasts, and we'll see you next week.
And we'll see you guys next year when you have another prototype to test.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it.
We'll be back.
All right.